Good morning. Good morning, my beautiful friends. This is your wake up call with Maui Paul. I am Maui Paul. We are here today to say some nice things about ourselves. Happy Friday to y'all. We made it through another week. It has been an amazing week for me. I hope it's been an amazing week for you too. What a busy time for us all. Anyways, yeah, just super excited to see you guys here. Good morning, Shauna and Lauren, Janet. Good morning, Susan and Anita. Good morning. Let's see here. Dan from St. Louis. Good morning. Let's see. Good morning, Heather. It is fantastic to see you all you guys today. Thank you so much for joining in the Friday wake up call. We are here today to once again pull a card off the top of my deck. I'm going to ask you if you are the affirmation on the card, and we are going to respond out loud together. I am that affirmation. Yes, indeed, it is a beautiful day, a beautiful weather, at least around here, which is good because it's been raining and gray for the past couple of days. And I am so grateful that at this point we have some sun to go and enjoy. So, uh, yeah, so let's have some fun today. Let's pull a card off the top of the deck. I'm going to ask you if you are the affirmation on the card. We're going to respond out loud together. I am that affirmation. We're going to build into ourselves today. We're going to build into our lives, and we are going to give our own brains ammunition, so that when something comes to steal our peace, that we have the ability to very quickly get it back. So let's have some fun and pull a card and say that today I am courageous. I am courageous. I act with unwavering faith. So I am courageous. I act with unwavering faith. Are you courageous? You are courageous. You act with unwavering faith. So I'm going to write that down in the comments. And as I do, I am building that into my life. I am recognizing all the times that I've been courageous in the past, all the times that I have acted on faith, even when I wasn't sure how things were going to work out. And I'm sure that you've done the same. So I'd like to know, when was the last time that you really took a leap of faith in your own life? Just put it down in the comments. I've taken quite a few, and definitely continue to. But I'd say that probably my most recent leap of faith that I took was essentially taking on partners for a business endeavor. I have never done that before. I've always been a bit of a solo person whenever I run business. But you know what? As I was chatting with some people, and we were basically all on the same page. We decided very quickly we were going to basically start up a marketing endeavor, and so we did. And many of you guys know I've been running a marketing company for about a year now. And actually, it's getting close to almost 2 years now, primarily serving my friends over on Maui. And I picked up a client here in Atlanta, and very quickly that client became a business partner. And so, and it takes faith to do that. It takes faith to get somebody else involved in projects that are important to you, that you love. And it takes a tremendous amount of trust. And at this point, my faith has been well rewarded. My trust has been well rewarded, and I sincerely hope that their trust has as well, as we are continuing to just build really neat stuff for our clients. So I am courageous, and I do act with unwavering faith. I've done a lot of stuff in the past week that has grown me, and I'm sure that you have as well. And so today we are just affirming that we that we look toward the future with a sense of excitement as opposed to a sense of fear. Ultimately, faith and fear both ask us to believe in something that hasn't happened yet. And if we're going to believe in something that hasn't happened yet, why don't we believe in the best possible outcome that hasn't happened yet rather than the worst possible outcome? If I had $1 for every time I heard somebody talking about why they gave up on one of their dreams, and the words, well, I wasn't sure that it was going to work out for this reason, that reason, the other reason, as they catastrophized and just destroyed their own, their own motivation by imagining all of the worst case scenarios, man, I would have a lot of money, because I hear people talk about that all the time, typically as an excuse as to why they stopped doing something they love, Oh, well, they had to, they tell themselves. They had to stop doing it because of all the things that could have gone wrong. Did these things go wrong? No. They never gave it a chance to work. And because they never gave it a chance to go right and imagined in their heads that things were going to go wrong, they gave up. And let me tell you, I've done the same thing myself. Like, I talk about other people saying these things, but I've said this stuff to myself as well. So I can't judge, but I can learn and grow. And so I am learning and growing. And I recognize that in the most recent past, I have acted with faith a lot more often than I've acted in fear. When we act in fear, when we allow fear to control our lives, we just want everything to stay the same because everything is stable as it is right now. But the fact is that there's lots of things in our lives that we don't like. There's lots of stuff that's going on right now that we would rather be a little bit different. But it does take courage to step out and change. It takes courage to do something different, not knowing what the outcome is going to be. And yet, I would argue that the biggest risk is not taking a risk at all. The biggest risk is staying in the same. Because if we stay the same, we're going to go to our graves never knowing if we could have, never knowing if it was possible, if the dreams that were in our hearts, if we could have actually made them work. And so I am courageous and I act with unwavering faith. I have faith that what I am doing is successful even before I do it. And that faith empowers me to give it my best. And when I give things my best, they are much more likely to succeed. Same thing with you. As we give off our best, as we do our best, and as we believe that things are working out, then things will work out. In my life, I've actually worked quite a few commission sales jobs. And one of the things about commission sales is you have to assume that the person that you're talking to needs whatever it is you're selling. You have to assume that the person that you're speaking with has, that they were brought to you or that marketing brought them to you or whatever, however it is that you got to talk to them, that they need what you got. Because if you don't believe that, it's going to be very, very difficult to impart that belief on them enough to get their credit card. And so, it takes it takes a lot of different courage to accomplish that. It takes a lot of courage to be very successful. And I learned very early on that if I believed before I picked up the phone that they were going to buy, that they had a much greater chance of buying than if I believed before I picked up the phone that I was just dialing the number and just kind of going through the motions. That if I didn't believe that they could, that it was so much more difficult for me to get them to believe it as well. And so it brings up the point that we are courageous not only for ourselves, but also for the people around us. When we act with unwavering faith, we give the people around us a permission slip to also act with unwavering faith. And so because of that, we are, our courage is an addictive thing. It is something that has the ability to expand. So I am courageous today, and you are courageous too. And we act with unwavering faith. Today we are going to be offered many different choices, and in those moments, in those choices, we are going to be able to either believe that the future is bright for us or believe that the future is not. And I encourage you to believe that the future is bright. I encourage you to believe that you are prepared to accomplish the things that you set out to accomplish, even if you've never done them before. I want you to believe that you are capable, fully capable, of handling anything that comes up that stops you from achieving your goals, and that everything is figure-outable, even if you've never done it before. Half the time, the fear has nothing to do with reality and everything to do with the fact that it would just be the first time that we're doing things, and most of us are afraid to suck. Well, guess what? The master has failed more times than the beginner has ever even tried, has ever even attempted it. The person who has achieved mastery at anything has a long string of going from failure to failure to failure to failure. And that is what brought them to that success. That is what brought them to a place where they could do well. So we have to get over the fact, we have to put our ego aside and recognize that the first time we do anything is the worst time that we do anything. And then act with the faith that the second time will be better, and the third time will be better, and the fourth time. I guess going back to that sales metaphor, I remember when I very first started doing sales, and then the first time that I ever called up a number and got just a brutal rejection, I put the phone down, and I didn't know if I could pick it up again. I had no idea if I could. I mean, after the way that I had been treated by that person, I was like, man, screw this. Do I ever want to subject myself to that ever again? And I remember just kind of like looking at the whole rest of my list, and for the first time in my in at that in my career at that point, feeling like afraid, feeling like, oh crap, everybody's going to treat me that way. Everybody is going to be obnoxious to me. Everybody is going to swear and curse me out. And of course, that's not the case at all. In fact, at this point, I feel like I've done commission sales at a pretty good rate of excellence for a long time. But the fact is that just because something like that happened, when it steals our peace, when it knocks us off the saddle a little bit, we just need to hop right back in. And that's what I did that day. I was like, okay, screw it. I'm like, I'm gonna call this whole list before I go to lunch, and I'm not gonna care what anybody says. I'm not gonna care if they're rude to me. I'm not gonna care if they're obnoxious. I'm not gonna care if they tell me what their favorite F word is, up and down. Like, I've got the hang up button and I know how to use it, and their obnoxiousness is their business and not mine. So I did. I called the rest of my list, and I wasn't very good at the job then, and I didn't make all that much money at it, and I wasn't particularly successful. But you know what? The biggest success was picking up the phone the second time after that person had just reamed me a new one the first time. Just being like, you know what? I'm going to do it again, and I'm going to laugh about it and be done with it. And so I did, and I acted with unwavering faith, and in the end was able to really improve my skills dramatically, to the point where at this point I understand how commission sales works, which gives me a great leg up when I am designing marketing systems for people, when I'm doing the systems architecture that is so much more fun for me. So we are courageous people. Let us act with unwavering faith, and let's see what you guys had to say. And then after that, we will go through the cards for the week and see how we got here. Let's see. So, So Shauna says, I'm courageous in redefining my life, being more intentional with my no and yes moments. Ooh, I like that. I like that concept, Shauna. There's a thinker called Shane Parrish. He runs a blog called Farnham Street. He has a really good book called Clear Thinking. But one of the things he advocates for is keeping a decision journal, so that every time that we make a decision, we just write down what the decision was and why we made it. I recently did a journal burning party where I symbolically burned 3 or 4 of my oldest journals, like the ones from a long time ago. And before I burned them, I read them. And one of the things that was very interesting was that, in my journal, I talked in a very third party way about the decisions that I was making as I was making them and why I was making them. And some of those decisions turned out really well for me, and some of them turned out really poorly. But in the end, it was nice to be able to see my rationale. And I noticed that when I had made a decision that turned out well for me, that decision was always in line with my values. And when I made a decision that turned out poorly for me, oftentimes that decision was made in light of my circumstances, but without taking into account my values. And so, when we are more intentional about the decisions that we make, we get to be a lot more empowered in the making of them. So let's see here. So Heather says, I'm more courageous in finding a path to my purposeful future. Yes, you are, Heather, and I'm excited to see you do it. Janet says, my personal adventures are courageous for me. That is great. Yep, and indeed, we like I said before, anything that we haven't done before is an adventure. It is necessarily scary. So let's see here. Janet says, I had a huge turning point in my life journey where I decided to never again make any decision based on fear or manipulation. Was life-changing. Turned survival mode into thrival mode. Yes, indeed, Jan, and you do live in thrival mode. Let's see here. Heather says, this is truly the best way. Perseverance in the face of negative feelings in yourself. Other people have their own shit. Don't take it personally. Great advice. Hard to do. Part of what I struggle with. And it is hard to do. And but that's why we practice. I say this stuff every morning, and I talk about this stuff. And the more that I talk about it, the more that I encourage other people to do it, the easier it is for me to practice it. But I'm no guru on a on a hill somewhere. I'm a real person, and I have my own very real struggles with this stuff that I talk about every morning. I really do. So when somebody comes up to me and tells me, "Oh, the stuff you talk about is amazing, but I could never do it." Like, that's great. I could never do it either. Not all the time anyway. But the more that I talk about it, and the more that I encourage you to do it, and the more that I understand the reasons that it's beneficial to do it, and the more that we explore these concepts together, the easier it is for me to reach for that positive thought than to reach for that negative one. The easier it is to pick up the phone after somebody swears you out. The easier it is to try that new thing, even when I've tried lots of new things in the past and they've all failed. It's easy. It gets easier and easier to try a new thing again, or to persist in the light of adversity. So I am courageous today, and you are courageous too, and we act with unwavering faith. So let's take a look at what has transpired during the week and see how we got here today. We started our morning. We started our Monday by affirming that we are diligent people, and that you are diligent and you continuously learn and improve. I know I've continuously learned and improved this week, and I'm excited that you have as well. I know that you have. We have all learned new things, done new things, had new life experiences, and they have caused us to grow. Of course, that diligence leads to an ability where we are able to be assertive and boldly advocate our positions, and indeed we do. We get to boldly advocate. We get to argue for our positions in a way that is empowering to other people. That's ultimately what advocacy is about. It's about, or it is about taking a position and really, leaning into that position and seeing where it takes us, putting it out there to the world and exposing it to criticism, exposing that position to the thoughts of others, so that we can ultimately refine ourselves. Of course, that assertiveness leads us to the next card, which we declared, which is that we are expansive and we grow into new versions of ourselves daily. How else could it possibly be? If we are asserting our positions, if we are advocating for what we believe is true, that takes growth. It takes growth, and as we grow into new versions of ourselves, our opportunities expand. We are expansive people. Took us into the Thursday card, where we confirmed and affirmed that we are vibrant, that we radiate energy and life. Of course, like anything that is expanding, people are going to notice things that expand, and they are going to recognize that those things are radiating energy and life. And so that is exactly what we do. That is exactly how we do life. We become vibrant, we become colorful, and we paint this world exactly in the colors we choose, which then takes us over to the final card of the week, which is that we are courageous and that we act with unwavering faith. We have unwavering faith because we recognize our own vibrancy, because we understand that we're expanding, because we understand that we can assert our ideas in a way that is not scary for others, and that we are diligent in doing so. And so as we really lean into these things over the course of the week, it takes us to the Awesome Saturday card, which is always that we are awesome. So let us recognize our inherent value and worth. All right, my beautiful friends, I will return on Monday with another wake up call. Thank you guys so much for being here. It has been a pleasure to broadcast this morning. As we go through our weekend, this is just your reminder. I'll be back on Monday at 9 a.m. Tell your friends, share the broadcast, let people know that we're here doing this stuff. The wake up call is about to get even more fun. So next week, I'll be debuting some new stuff, playing with some new things, and just once again, just making this wake up call even better next week than it was this week. So, my beautiful friends, thank you so much for attending. I will talk to you on Monday at 9 a.m. Until then, aloha from paradise.